Good morning. Lord, help me make this video. Please don't let this cut off because I can't. Um, so I don't. I was thinking about making another video about the eclipse before where things got too far ahead of that. But it's literally like it's not even 8 in the morning. I woke up kind of early. Like I had like a weird dream. Woke up in the middle of that. Um, Tried going back to sleep. Um, and I just like felt the spirit kind of strong. And of course, when that happens, I'm like, what does that mean? Are we leaving? What's going on? So I kind of freaked myself out a little bit. Couldn't go back to sleep. And then I was like, well, maybe we should just make a video. I was going to like meander online for a while and then just try it a little bit later to go back to sleep. Once I wake up, it's over. I can sometimes in an hour or two, like maybe, reclaim some sleep, but um, I decided to just get up and try to record something just in case, the end of the world is today or whatever. It's kind of a joke, but not really. Um, Kind of along the same lines, I was thinking about the eclipse last week. Sorry, I'll probably do that a couple more times during the video. Thinking about the eclipse, and it's funny. I didn't really see a lot of it online, but I heard about it a lot more than I saw it. But there was a lot of people going, yeah, so the eclipse came and nothing happened. So can we stop talking about the end of the world, blah, 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 which is just such an insane take that I knew I had to say something about it and talk about it, especially having, war break out even more within like 7 days of the eclipse. But yeah, as far as like all the people who genuinely think that we're in the end times and that Jesus is coming back soon, anytime really. Um, I didn't know anybody that viewed the eclipse as uh, like the day. I do remember like a couple of days before that, um, things starting to ramp up to the point where you're like, yo, is it going to be tomorrow? Like that would be crazy. But that was like not on the radar at all. Um, but things kind of got like a little weird. And so you were just kind of like, no, is it? But like, that's as kind of far as it went, having gone through like a couple of false alarms. Um, Nobody was going to be surprised either way. But I suppose there were probably some people who were like, this is going to be it, and they set out to warn people. And this kind of falls in line with like kind of what I was saying in the previous um, video about the Holy Spirit sort of being in charge of everything. And so we are not in charge of it, and so we don't know what's going on. But He will have us do things that we don't that don't seem like they would be pertinent at all to what's going on, or we just don't have any idea one way or another. So we don't know how it's related to the whole thing. And He'll have us do something, or He'll give us a prompting, and we, will assume in the moment that we know, why He's having us do something, and that's just natural human tendency. It's fine. Um, he, I mean, you have to understand that if he's working with us at all, he's willing to suffer us being wrong or misinformed or us, presumptuous or whatever. And he's just choosing to work around that. Like if he's doing it at all, that's already a given. So the pressure to be right about this or that, um, I mean, he kind of goes out of his way to like make sure that that doesn't isn't part of it, because to be right about it in the moment is to have to sort of pronounce all these people's deaths. Like, you don't want to be the one who's right about it. Like, that's not what we're doing. It's about leaving a record for, I mean, that's a sliver of it. The part that I can see that is beyond our scope is the way that he's able to leave a record for the people who are left behind, the people who need it, the people who are currently watching, whoever's leaving the record for. So it doesn't really benefit us to be right, but in human terms, that's how you get things done. That's how you get people on your side. That's how you make uh, converts with successful marketing. But like that, God's not doing any of that. So um, he's always going to do it his way. And another advantage of reading the Bible is that you see the trend, you see how his way operates. So you see a lot of this getting people hyped up and getting them in a state to do something that maybe doesn't pan out for that moment, or pans out in a small way, um, but not in the big way, not in the long standing way that lasts forever and ever. So us, the eclipse was enough to get people to start talking about this, because he does want eyes on the subject. He does want people to be ready, but he doesn't want people to be ready just because uh, he's God and they should be. It's the same reason why he doesn't do anything. He doesn't broadcast anything. He wants to see what you will respond to. So, um, so yeah, and the eclipse got people in their feelings, which I think was a great gauge of just how like this thing is on the surface for people. Like they really are clocking that things are happening, that something is going on. But of course, society is telling them to calm down and be a rational person, um, and never engage this kind of obvious instinct that you have to look at patterns and go, okay, things are ramping up, things are going on. Um, the world has tried everything to, it's given you all these new terms um, to use to explain the irrational things that are going on, or the supernatural things going on, even. And yeah, a lot of people are, I don't know, I don't really go out that much. I don't, I realize that I'm on my curated forums, but I do see a little bit of bleed. I do see that it's on the minds of people, especially people who are in the path of the eclipse. Like I saw, um, people on Twitter, there were some uh, believers who had reactions to the eclipse and some non-believers, and the reactions were different, clearly. Um, Having never seen an eclipse in my lifetime, and I was in the path of the total eclipse, so never seen a total eclipse in my life. I do remember, something with cardboard boxes, when I was a little kid in elementary school, and they took us outside and we did that whole thing. And I was just like, what are we even doing right now? So in my mind, an eclipse was an unimpressive thing. Um, but, it was super hyped up, and being in the path of the total, they were had eclipse glasses selling, at the stores, blah, blah, blah. So, I was into it. It blew my mind. That was like one that was probably the most I don't know, I guess miraculous thing that I've ever seen with my eyes. Like it was the most, um, yeah, it was the most like overwhelming. Like I don't know. It's like you look up at the sky, the sun is there, and then you look up at the sky, and there's like an Oreo in the sky that I'm seeing with my eyeballs. There's an Oreo in the sky, and it's dark. Like not on any drugs. Like you know what I mean. Like that was just the most impressive thing I've ever seen with my eyes. And I mean, it was like it's kind of sad actually. Like I'm like, man, I haven't seen an angel. I haven't seen anything that like God made that isn't natural and part of the world. So I was like very impressed, and it was like very moving for me. Um, so and once it was over, uh, that whole day I was a little bit useless. I didn't want to make dinner. You know what I'm saying? But then life, kind of trudged on. But I did not. Obviously, I'm seasoned at this point in uh, being a watcher, I guess, if you will. And so I didn't expect things to die down or anything. Nothing has died down since, for the last 6 months. I haven't seen it die down in forever. And if you have been watching, that should be something that you have noticed, because I have like my earlier phases in like 2015 that felt in like the end times. That was a kiddie pool of nothing. It was the end times, it's nothing, 2015, however many years we were from the end, is still close to the end. So I was seeing signs, seeing these like miniature, um, and the Bible describes it as labor, and it is the perfect metaphor, the perfect metaphor, because if it's labor, then 2015 was just like those level one contractions. It's that first time mom, oh my gosh, I'm doing the thing type of feeling. Because, and I didn't know. I thought it was like, okay, this is what the end is. This was what the end is like. Things were ramping up then, and there was weird stuff, on all fronts. That was kind of like the first time where things were going on, and they were going on with government, with politics, things going on in entertainment, things going on geographically, things going on like socioeconomic, like all of these different sectors. And you were seeing this like perfect storm starting to brew of stuff. But then after a while, that did sort of die down, and you were able to just sort of go back to your life and live life for a while. And, last year was when I started to sort of like peek my head up, like, oh, it's feeling like that time for realsies. And went through that whole gauntlet. At no point, though, in 2023 did things die down. It just kind of like, that would be the part of labor where you're probably like, you're dilated at a 5 or something. And you're going into labor like it's not a joke, but you can't believe that you're not having a baby yet. Like you still can't believe it's time, because you're like, are you serious? It's gonna go up from here. And so now it's just like you're a veteran in the labor, and you know that you're like, okay, it can't be much more than this. But like every new thing, you're like, no way, no way did this just get more intense. Like, and you're so blown away because you've had so many levels of intensity before at this point. You can't believe that there's more that you could be uh, blown away by. So that's kind of where you are. So the eclipse, for people who've been paying attention, is just like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's add an eclipse on top of it. It's like being in labor and you're just watching this contraction on the monitor, like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, fine, let's go, whatever. It wasn't like, oh, moment, this is it. But for everybody else who's just kind of living their lives and in a stupor, and then they hear this groundswell of people going, oh, Jesus, and everybody's like, and they're getting a little bit like, which is like the dumbest strategy, like to kind of go, you hear all that and you go, well, we'll see. Yeah, you are going to see. You're not going to be ready. It's like if you hear the tornado sirens and you go, there's probably not a tornado though. We'll see. We'll see if there's a tornado. Probably not though. It never comes by. Like you don't. You're not. You're looking out the windows. You're not in the bathtub. Nothing. Like you're not prepared. You're like driving in your car. You didn't stop and get in a ditch or nothing. Like that is dumb. So, so a lot of people who are not prepared um, thought about getting prepared, but then the day came and went. And they were like, "See, I don't have to be prepared. It's fine." So I was more annoyed with the Christians who were like, "Fine, can we stop with all of that?" I'm just like, y'all are, because you can tell why they're doing that. It's because it's embarrassing. And that's part of the reason why they're not getting ready is because their focus is all walked out. Um, because, they have to go to work with these people and they have to, whatever, and they have to explain your weird Christian behavior. So these are people who are destined to stay on this planet because they love it so much. Well, they think it's the only thing, it's the main thing, it's the thing that everything starts with. And then you add God, you sprinkle God on top of that. Um, so yeah, that was wild. But yeah, no. And then guess what? Within 7 days, the war in Israel is ramping up. Who knows? Will it be another blip on the screen? Another big, huge contraction? Or is this going to be the thing? Is this going to be the crowning? And the small amount of people who are going to be prepared. I would hope that a lot of people can get prepared in a hurry. That they've done some type of exercises that they know if they need to at the last minute get prepared that they can be. Um, this idea that you're just doing the Lord's work and you'll be prepared. I mean, I don't think it's as prevalent as we are hoping that would be, especially if you are ignoring signs like uh, the moon, the sun and the moon are in the sky. The heavens, the stars, everything's in the sky for signs, and God is using them for signs. So to when you ignore the signs and you just think that like it's scientific phenomenon, which isn't wrong, it's just which is it first. Some people think that um, the things that we call signs, the things that ancient people called signs, it's because they didn't know the science, and they go, "Oh, this is just scientific phenomenon." But the thing is, they're both things. Miracles are probably scientific phenomenon if you knew enough science, which we clearly don't. Like God doesn't really do a lot of stuff that like he does things within the natural world. Like he doesn't really like break the rules. I don't even think it's on a system like that. That's kind of like how we think of it. We don't really get too much further into it because if you're not even considering that miracles are true or real that can happen, then you're not studying them and the nature of them. So if you can't if you can't even get any scientists to study your documented miracle and get all the people in a study who've ever had a miracle happen and do all that, then you're not going to grow in your knowledge of it. I mean, that's just what it is. So they're both. Just because we can sort of map out all the eclipses. And what's funny is like I saw a chart that had like all the eclipses for the next like 15 years or something, and I'm talking total eclipses over the next like, yeah, 15 years or so. And that's the first thing that stood out to me. I'm like, wait, these aren't even like, I've never even heard of that many eclipses crossing nations. And I mean, literally, like, there was, I remember specifically there was something that was like an eclipse was going to form in an X over Australia. There's one that was going to form like over parts of Africa, like kind of close to like the coast. And they were all coming